So, as a lot of you would probably recognize this. This is Astra Armada that's in ArcCorp, which you probably know from when we released the social module. And one of our challenges is that, the new paradigm of Star Citizen is you can go to all these planets, you can explore all the planets. We're not just going to have a cutscene to go down to the surface and have a very limited landing area. So the old ArcCorp, you basically were in a sort of well-detailed first-person small level, and everything outside of it was sort of a kind of this, it was basically faked. And in the new way, new planetary tech, we can't. So here we are in Astra Armada. The Raven's there, which is the the spaceship that goes with the Octane. And beyond 3.0, we're going to add the ability to buy or lease ships. So that would be, the first place you're probably doing that would actually be on ArcCorp in the Astra Armada store. And of course, you're also seeing some level of our subsumption AI going on, which is also something we're continually working on improving. And next year, it will be even more self-aware. Right, let's head out, Claire. Okay, so we've got a bit bigger. And the big difference with ArcCorp that we have now is that there isn't really a skybox. Everything is real. So, well, not real, it's digital, but it's there. It's a digital thing. So let's just head through the main plaza of Area 18 here in ArcCorp, which, like I said, you guys will have known from the social module, although it's quite a bit different than it was in terms of scope, scale. Obviously, you can see a lot of the advertising and vibe stuff. Let's head out through the customs.
You're clear. Move along.
All right, let's go. So everyone's in a line, as always, if you're going anywhere to get through immigration. Here we go, the main flying pass. So, very Blade Runner-esque we got going. So this is a Terrapin, which again isn't in 3.0, but is going to be just after 3.0. Although I think we should probably, Glenn, shouldn't really. Let's start the small amount, right? The new Aurora, perhaps.
Welcome to Roberts Space Industries. Enjoy the ride. System check. Engines are on.
All right, let's take off. Let's go flying. not sure we're going to let you actually get this close to the populated areas, but we'll let you guys do it.
Landing gear release.
So what you're seeing here is ArcCorp, which is essentially a full-size, Earth-size planet completely covered with man-made structures and at a real scale. So you're seeing everything to the horizon, fully covered. You can basically fly all over ArcCorp. So you can see off in the distance another city club. So that up in the distance is area 17, and we're flying over the suburbs now. So this is pretty much Coruscant. And this is our engine wizards in the Frankfurt office. Who's doing this? So Marco Copetta and Alex Ramotti, who will be out here in a bit. And actually area 17 over there is about 25 kilometers in the distance. So we're just gonna head over to it.
Landing gear deployed.
2947!
There's that tradition. Hello, Citizen God 2947.
Landing gear release.
Longer term, that we're going to be building on our bigger, more populated planets, multiple landing zones. So Area 18 is one of them. Area 17 would be potentially another one, and would have quite a few around ArcCorp because it's such a big planet and the detail and the scale that we're going for. We sort of feel like it has to be more than just one landing zone or two landing zones and then nothing else on the rest of the planet. So it has to feel believable at the scale of our universe. And that's always quite a challenge, but some of the technology that we've been building is allowing us to do that, as you can sort of see from the visuals that we're flying around here, where we literally have a planet covered by a city. So ArcCorp is one of our planets. Let's gonna head up to space, I think, here in a bit, Glenn. We can have a little view of Area 17 as we go beside it, though. I don't think any other game's quite got this level of scale. Right, and that little the red cluster you see up there is actually the Pyro system. So when we leave Stanton, that will be one of our destinations. As you sort of see. Yeah. Well, don't worry, we're working hard on it for you guys. Head to one of the space stations in orbit around ArcCorp. So I think I've mentioned before that most of the big kind of more advanced or settled or industrialized planets will have quite a few space stations in geosynchronous orbit, so that when say someone with a large ship like a Hull C or a D brings in cargo, they go to the space station and then the cargo can be offloaded and brought down to the planet. So we're just going to head to one of them. It's built using a new modular space station setup, and it's actually beyond 3.0. You're going to see a lot of space stations and variety, and we'll talk a little bit about how we're going to put them together and build them up in around the Stanton system and the other systems as we expand out. And the key is it's all, we're not low. There's no loading screens or anything. We just flew up from the city. We were down in Area 18. Then we were flying around these huge skyscrapers, and now we're just heading up to the orbital space station. Glenn's just showing off. Again, this would be, like I said, one of the places where cargo would come in, it would be unloaded, and then there would be NPCs or a player could potentially take smaller amounts down. But to give you an idea of this is, the beauty of the sort of Star Citizen 64-bit precision is like we fully, it's all there. We're up here on a space station looking down on the planet. Jump? I don't know, Glenn. Should we jump or not jump? Nah, I don't think so, right? All right, let's get back on the platform. Well, no, his EVA counters the gravity. Plus, gravity is much weaker up here than it is down on the planet. But the gravity is actually properly simulated all the way through, based on your distance from the center of the planet. Get up. All right. So inside these are all got interiors, and in fact, we'll show you kind of how we build them in a second. But yeah, just give you the idea of the scale, because you know the space station didn't look that big from a while ago, and of course, see how big it is now that we're up close. And if we go through here, there'll be an elevator we get through on the other side that would get us into the atriums, but we'll show you a bit of that in a little bit. Let's kind of continue on with our journey. Should we head to Hurston Glen, or just want to do some sightseeing? There we go. Zarkov. No, it doesn't look very big. That's because we're sort of zoomed out on the star map. But Lorville is 23,205,500, whatever that is, 968, 66 now, 68 kilometers away, which is quite a long distance. So shall we start our quantum? So as you can see, we've upgraded the whole sort of jump effects and everything using the new GPU particle system that's coming in with 3.0. Yet another thing that we've added, which you can see with the contrails and the engine trails. Now, 23 million kilometers, even at 0.2 of the speed of light, takes about 8 minutes. Now, and actually in the gameplay side of things, it probably would actually take you longer for the journey because you'll probably get pulled out of quantum by some other ships, and there'll be we won't probably let you go one jump directly to the other jump because there needs to be some time invested in getting there, like taking cargo or whatever else. But just a pure unaltered, uninterrupted jump's about 8 minutes at our quantum speed. So while we're doing that, we're going to take a little bit of time to reflect back on the tech that you saw on display. So Sean, you want to come to the stage, and Alex Ramotti, who's one of the flew out, went to a space station, looked down at ArcCorp, then quantum travel, flew through the space. We haven't done any loading. It's all in the same star system. And now we're in orbit, like high orbit actually, well, quite a ways out from Hurston, which is another planet inside the Stanton system. ArcCorp is owned by ArcCorp. In the Stanton system, the UE leased each one of the major Earth-type planets to different corporations. In this case, it's Hurston Dynamics, which primarily is a weapons manufacturer. And Hurston itself is the kind of, it's the sort of planet that is what happens when there is no regulation and there's no environmental protection. So it's probably going to be like China in 100 years or America after the EPA has been dismantled. So let's just head down, and this will be an example of a different style of planet and ecosystem biome. And we're still early days on this because obviously we're still getting 3.0 out views of the environment, and the sort of procedural planet team have been working on ArcCorp and Hurston because they finished all their 3.0 stuff, and we're preparing for the next major release. All this stuff, but there's still a ways to go. So remember, all this is work in progress, and it'll be a lot better and cooler when you actually get your hands on it in the future. So we're just gonna do a short distance quantum travel. So we actually we have two kinds of quantum travel in 3.0 and beyond. One is a long distance one, like the one we went between ArcCorp and Hurston, between major celestial bodies. And then we have short distance quantum travel that allows you to navigate around or circumnavigate large celestial bodies. So like here, we're just going to come much closer up to the kind of sort of low orbit gateway into Hurston. So I'll let Glenn take us down with his consummate flying skills. Yeah, so you know, the German engine team that does all the procedural planet stuff has been adding obviously a lot of stuff to the procedural planet tech. The oceans have all been ported over to GPU, and ultimately we're not doing it here, but you know, there actually has. If we get low enough, you'll probably see it's full wave simulation. When we get low enough, we want to have the thing where the wake from the ship creates waves. That's not in yet, but we will be doing that at some point. Yes. Well, as you know. But we're heading in our way to Lorville, which is the main landing zone on Hurston. So. So, and as we sort of build this out in the future, there'll be a lot more sort of mining infrastructure. This is basically an area that Hurston sort of strip mined for all the minerals and creating its weapons and its sort of factories that we'll get to in a bit. But as we move forward, we've just sort of beginning of fleshing out sort of the secondary locations and objects. We're going to add things like, you know, big, you know, macro vehicles that would be excavating dirt and stuff, and give it a lot more variety, because Hurston's going to have quite a few more ecosystems than we're showing right here. But let's head up towards Hurston. You can actually see in the distance the big Hurston Dynamic. It's sort of like the Tyrell building from Blade Runner. So that's the main area, and actually when you land in Hurston, that's where you're likely to land, and it has all these beautiful shops inside, and it's all nice, but the outside of it's all kind of smog and factories and polluted air. So let's fly up through. And again, Lorville's built using the same tech. It's a different kind of building set for a lot of it, but it's using the same sort of distribution tech that we do to sort of build out a city at a realistic scale for the ships that we have in the games, you know, which is kind of important for our game because we want to have everything feel real, visceral, tactile. And you can sort of appreciate just the sheer scale of these planets, because, you know, off in the distance, Hurston didn't look very big, and now we're flying through it, and you know, it's you know, these are pretty tall, big buildings. Glenn likes to show off. So let's sort of head to the outskirts outside the city, because we want to sort of give you a sense of kind of what it's like in the ecosystems outside, and then also the sense of scale that you get. Because when you're flying around, you're moving pretty fast. I mean, we're flying at a pretty fair clip relatively. I don't think they'd like you flying around, say, Frankfurt at this speed, just above it. But to give you the sense of being able to fly over a planet and then get down on the ground, it's all seamless and also all the details. So we'll just go out here beyond the main city areas and find a landing spot.
Landing gear deployed.
Find one that's not rock. There you go. So here we are, we're down on the ground, and actually you can sort of see the large structures off in the distance, which maybe didn't look so big when we're flying over them, but really actually are quite massive. And this is kind of like the kind of tundra area outside Lorville. And let's go for a little run. And again, this is sort of what our goal is to try to kind of deliver the kind of on foot, first person, crisis level of detail for the environments that you're in, but doing a lot of it procedurally and on a planetary scale. So it's quite challenging, but I'm very confident that we're going to deliver all that goal. And the team we have doing it, who a lot of them were here giving a talk earlier, are incredibly talented, and I'm pretty excited by the potential. I mean, we've got a lot to go in terms of building further ecosystems, also creating fauna for planets. So there's a sense of wildlife. Some could be hostile, some could be passive, but we essentially want to make these planets living places that feel visceral, that have their own identity. When you go to ArcCorp or you go to Hurston, they feel totally different. They match with the sort of story and the history and the lore, and they feel tactile. They feel like a place that you could visit, a place that you could go and tell stories of and take pictures of or share with your friends. So someone's conveniently left us a Knox. So we can use that to get a bit closer into the city.
Systems activating. Systems on.
So you sort of can see the city stuff that seemed quite small as we flew over it. We're down on the ground and it's pretty huge. Oh, all right, let's see if... Oh! Glenn, you're just showing off now. See, it's just a show off, Glenn. I don't think it's that good of a show off. So here we're sort of coming to the outskirts of one of the factory areas of Lorville. Right. And again, we just have the beginnings of sort of our NPC population system. So some of the other stuff besides the interior procedural stuff is, longer term we're working on sort of a background crowd simulation system, a traffic simulation for ships coming and going in the background. The Nox says it sounds little physics bugs going on. Then we have foreground NPCs that would be like mission givers that have their own full schedules and stuff like that. But all the places will get populated and feel like they're full of life. So you'll have like I said, the whole goal is to have 90% NPCs to 10% players in the universe. And when you come to a place like Lorville or a place like ArcCorp, it has to feel like, it has millions of people in it because these cities are at that scale and that's sort of what we're used to. And so we're working very hard to build background systems to be able to do that, scale it, create them on demand, and create a realistic feeling location on whatever planet you're visiting. So as you can see, there's the Hurston Dynamics main building off in the distance. So it's again, that gives you a sense of like the scope and the scale of the city really is compared to what we're doing now. And as I said, one of the things we're working on is fauna. So these are the Oni, the Zyphopod Oni crabs. So they're little scavengers on Hurston, and there's quite a few other things that we're going to have on Hurston. We'll do it, but you'll have them running around and a bunch of other ones. But there you go. There's Lorville. There's Hurston.